Okay, well, this time I'm driving slightly further for my interview. I'm going to interview a lovely couple with a family, and we're going to talk about schooling. But you might recognise them. They live just under 3 hours away from me. That might give you a clue. Another clue is they live in the Charente. So we're very nearly there. And I'm quite excited. I've never been to the northernmost tip of the southwest of France before. How many clues do you need?
In 1 kilometre.
Oh.
Turn left. Do it now.
What would I do without Waze?
Turn left. Do it now. Routine. Div.
It's all very quiet around here. Oh, look at those horses. Do you recognise those horses and that person in the field? I do. Look at that. Someone's been pointing.
Boom. You've arrived. Well done.
I think I've come to the right place. Do you know where I am?
Clap.
Escape to France Charente, take one.
Take one.
So here we are. I can't believe we're doing this. Normally it's a 5-minute drive for me to do these interviews. And this time it's taken me 3 hours. But I have to say, it's lovely. It's so worth it. But we're not in the lot.
No.
But we are in the Charente.
The northernmost tip of the southwest of France.
The northernmost tip of the southwest of France. I love it when you start with that. So our viewers, most of our viewers actually watch your channel. So there's not really much need for an introduction. But anyway, Rob, Lisa, here we are. And the reason that I want to do the interview, you're the first couple that I've interviewed with children that are actually, growing up here and going to school and things. What's that experience been like? I mean, it must have been really daunting at first, actually.
I think at first we weren't daunted by it, were we?
No.
But then a couple of experiences that Robbie had at school, it did kind of make us feel a bit upset about how he was feeling in school, didn't it?
Yeah, there was a bit of bullying. Mm-hmm. Right from the first 5 seconds of him walking straight through the school gate, and we witnessed that.
Because of the language?
I think because he was new.
Yeah, just new.
New face, wasn't it?
We didn't get a hint of anything to do with because he was, as the French will call it, rôti boeuf.
Yeah, nothing to do with him being
we don't think.
English.
No.
It was to do with the fact that he was the new boy walking into school. And I think what happens here is all the families will know each other before they go into a primary school, because they've already gone into the infant school together. Yeah. So they pretty much know who is going in, and then all of a sudden this little boy walks through, and it didn't really matter, I don't think, whether he was English or French. He would have got the same response.
Yeah.
So really that could have happened anywhere.
Yeah.
That could have happened in England. But I guess there's an extra problem here because of the language barrier, isn't there? How do you start to explain that to a French teacher?
Yeah, so Robbie, when he walked in, he knew very few French words.
Yeah.
And he did have to pick up French pretty quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And, so he's pretty much immersed in it for 8 hours a day. And we are really proud of both of the kids, but even more so Robbie, because we've got Evangeline, who's 4, who was basically 2.5 when she started school. So she was only just getting a grasp of the English language. Yeah. But Robbie, who was already well-founded within English, he's now having to learn a new language, and there's no concessions made. You have to learn the subject to the same level as every other French children, but not knowing the language. So it was a massive learning curve for him. And so we've come to the point now where he was due to go up to college. So they start the secondary school very early. So Robbie's only just, he's about 10 years and 4 or 5 months now, so that you would be 11 or 12 in the UK, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he'd have another full year after September
Yeah.
in junior school before they were even thinking about sending him up to senior school.
Yeah, so we've decided, as in Lisa, myself, and the teacher and the headmistress, that he's going to do what they call a redouble. So he's going to retake
a year.
Yeah, which is quite normal in France, and quite a few of his friends are actually having to retake a year as well. Not because they don't know the language. Yes, the reason why Robbie's doing it is because he does know the language. But his French friends are doing it because they are not up to scratch. You know, so we're proud of him in the fact that he's progressing with the subjects that he's being taught, and his French is really coming along. He's not fluent, but he knows a good playground level of French.
He knows a lot of French. His maths, obviously, it's the same because it's the same numbers.
But they do teach slightly different.
Slightly different, which we were struggling with even, weren't we?
Yes, because you've got to do the homework.
No, they don't like us doing the homework.
Well, since he's been at school, I have had to sit there, and they get a lot of homework. So I sit there on an evening with him, and we do have to complete the homework together. And remember, he didn't know French when he first went in, so I was using my Google Translate to translate everything. So I knew what was being said, he knew what was being said, and then we needed to Google Translate the answer, because you can't write it in English, you have to write it in French. So again, you have to get the answer together and piece it together. But we are now this year at the stage where Robbie knows more than me, so I put his books down and he'll go and start writing straight away, so I don't have to do as much of his homework as what I did do for the first year.
Yeah, like the verb conjugations and stuff.
Yeah.
But imagine 10 years ago, before Google Translate had you moved over, and just having to deal with a dictionary.
No.
A French to English, English to French dictionary. How would you even do that?
But you must be really proud of him, actually, because I mean, he's being forced into this new language, and he's just taking it on. I know that their brains are different at that age, but it's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's got a really good French accent, because you can know the French words and you can know the conjugations, but unless you pronounce it spot on,
Yes.
I'm telling you now, you won't be understood. Like I had an incident.
Well, I know.
So I had an incident where Lisa wanted me to buy a staple gun. Now the French word for staple gun is agrafeuse. Now, I think I've pronounced that correctly this time, but when I went into the shop and I asked the lady, "Bonjour, pouvez-vous m'aider s'il vous plaît? Vendez-vous le agrafeuse?" She went, "Je ne sais pas." I went, "Agrafeuse?" She went, "Je ne comprends pas." I went, I'm going to have to go with my worst hello French on this one. I went to "Vendez-vous les agrafeuse?" She went, "Agrafeuse, it's là-bas."
I know you get a lot of flack on the channel because apparently you don't speak French at all.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
Sometimes I wish you didn't.
Yeah, it's a bit stilted, you know. It's my level of French is probably that of Borat in English, you know. But it is slowly getting there. It is slowly getting there.
It's impressive. So going back to the children, what if somebody is thinking about bringing children over? Is it a nightmare? Should they do it, or are you? How do you feel now? Because it's what, two years on, roughly.
Nearly 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, so I would say Robbie is a really strong character as well, and he has had his bad times.
Yeah.
Going into French school, that he has struggled. So when we were in England, we did try our best to teach Robbie. He was already learning a little bit of French at school, but we had books to be able to teach him French, but he really wasn't interested in taking it in at all, was he?
No.
It wasn't until he got here that he thought, actually, I do need to know this language because I'm in school. So I would say that do make sure that your children are learning French before they come over. If they are not as strong a character as what Robbie is, then it's going to be difficult for your child.
Yeah, I would say definitely Duolingo. if you've got a child, just to ease them in to the French language. I would say that there is a cut-off age, and I may be proven wrong here, but from speaking to people who have moved over here as children, 12 or 13, where they are pretty much well into college and just before the lycée, I think they've really struggled because of the language and things like that. So I would say ours are a good age. You know, we've got Evangeline who's now 4, she was 2.5, and Robbie was about 9 when he came over. You know, so I think that's perfect. And the funny thing is, we know a lot of people who have been children here. From like Evangeline's age and Robbie's age, and the French don't even know that they are English and French is their second language, because their accent and their vocab and their grammar is just perfect and spot on.
Because they're basically immersed in it, aren't they?
Hello?
We've got extra guests. But we're talking about you being at school. How do you feel? Do you feel that you're getting better and better, or is it something that you'd rather just give up on?
You said to us the other week that you considered yourself 70% French, didn't you? Yeah.
Would you say it's still 70% or more?
70%.
70%.
The big question is, can you speak more French than your dad?
Probably.
What's the
50-50.
50-50.
What's the most difficult French word? Squirrel?
To say.
Écureuil.
Listen to that accent, that's really good.
And what's 124 in French?
124.
Good boy.
I love it. Puts me to shame. I could, how do you say it? Aquarial.
Écureuil.
Écureuil. Yeah, I've seen your clip.
Yes.
I love that clip.
Right, what we're going to do is let's get you a biscuit. We'll sort you
see
out
the cameras,
and then the
yeah?
jog. So we're going
We're being
to do a little cut here.
So that's the children neatly put to bed.
We wish.
With a biscuit. With a biscuit.
With a biscuit. So let's talk about you. I mean, you're here because of a television show, effectively, aren't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? That must have been such a strange thing to...
It was my plan. So I had a plan to get Rob over.
Because I didn't want to come to France.
No.
Really?
No.
He didn't want to come to France, but he had this big idea. We had a conversation about what your retirement was going to look like and what you felt your retirement was going to look like compared to what it was going to be because of financial situation back in England. So that's when I was looking at different properties in different areas. First of all in England, and really the cheapest property was in Scotland, which is very cold.
I'm wet.
And I feel the cold.
Do you?
That was a no. And then France started popping up, Spain, and I thought, oh, France is quite easy to get to. Flights are quite easy to get over with the older children, etc., etc. Oh, look what you can get for your money. Look what the cost is like of the price of living. Some things are a little bit more expensive over here, but overall, it's better for us to be here than it would be for us to be located back in England, isn't it? So with that, I started looking at A Place in the Sun because they were always on TV. I think it was on a weekend or something, and I'd sit down every time France was on, I'd call him in to say, look at this, look at this. And I thought, well, why couldn't we do that? So I looked up A Place in the Sun, saw the screen test was available to us in Birmingham. So booked tickets. They were only £10 a ticket, something like that. Whisked Rob up to Birmingham.
Hang on, so you had to go for a screen test?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
So we went up there. They were doing the filming in the corner. Dragged him over to go and do it, and it's well against what I would.
And I should have
usually
clicked at
do.
this point because I'm all up for a screen test. But Lisa is very, very camera shy. So when she's proactively pushing me, I'm going, okay. And I should have clicked that this was part of a master plan.
Right.
Put on our best performance.
Wait,
made them laugh, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then, we didn't get a call. I was panicking because obviously we were planning on moving over in September, and it was February passed, March passed, April passed, and I thought, are we going to be going over this year or not?
Because it is important for the visa that you need 12 months worth of residency.
Yeah.
So we'd sorted out a number of months from a rental that we didn't end up needing in the end.
No.
Because we actually did find the house on the show.
Yeah, but I contacted them and just said, we did screen test. Is there any news? And they said, yes, we loved it. You're through. I thought, brilliant. So we're going to go onto the TV and get shown houses rather than have to drive around France and search for property.
So it was more tactical than a search for fame. Because they send us a team out for a week, 2 weeks before, with a short list of properties, around about 100 properties that they're going to go and look at.
Yeah.
And then they need to whittle that down to the 5 that you see on the show, with another couple in reserve in case they get sold in the meantime. So we came over from the Sunday through to the Friday. Obviously, without destroying any TV magic here, it's not done over 2 days, it's done over 5 days. And you don't wear the same clothes, but you do need to wear unbranded clothes. And as you know, you're not allowed to wear white or stripes.
And buy two dresses, the same dress.
Yes, you have to get a number of things, because on the first day I spilled gravy all down my t-shirt.
So luckily he had the extra top,
Yeah, so it was good fun.
So that's but what's even funnier is that not only did you get the gig, as it were, but you also bought the house. Yeah. Because the amount of times I watch that show and they get right to the very end and they bicker over like $2,500 and then that's it, they're off. But you didn't, you did it.
Yes.
And you're here.
Yeah.
That's mad.
It is mad, isn't it? And it is mad. And the show is really authentic as well, so you don't get to see the houses before so the shot where they show you the house for the first time is true and genuine, so both Lisa and I, we drove around the corner, parked in what is now our driveway, and then we had to walk with our hands over our eyes and walk across the gravel, and then they posted us in the corner, and then they said, and here's the house, so that was our first look around. I think she said, you're walking here? I said, birds. Rather than seagulls of Hastings.
Yeah, no, because it was loud. From where we used to live, it would be, I can hear traffic, I can hear seagulls, lots of noise from other children. We lived on not an estate,
street drinkers.
It was lots of different sounds going on.
Yeah.
So did you retire earlier, effectively?
No, I retired at normal policing age retirement. So I did 4 years in the military, which I could convert into a police pension years of 2 years, 267 days, and then I did 26 years and 10 months within the police. And I amalgamated them all, and it turned out to be a full 30-year pension. I did go out on ill health, as I've spoken about on our channel many times. I got diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder in 2019, and that dates back to my military time in Bosnia. That was the foundations of it, compounded and complicated by 27 years of seeing and witnessing and being involved in traumatic incidents within the police. So I'm fortunate in the fact that I've got a good pension, which enables me to fund our lifestyle. So we are mortgage free, we are debt free, which is the situation that we wanted to be in. If I was back in the UK, I would have had to have continued working, probably within the policing environment, which wouldn't have been good for my mental health. No. And in order just to continue to pay and live in a place that wasn't doing me any good mentally anyway, because there were a lot of triggers and reminders. Certainly from being back in Hastings within France, there are no longer those triggers, or as much anyway, and reminders. So it's just a nice, tranquil, beautiful country to actually live and retiring. But you say retire? I've never been busier.
Well, I love the channel. Thank you. And let's talk about your PTSD. One of the reasons that we watch the channel is because the one show that we did click on and we watched it, there was a chasse or a bit of shooting outside, some of the hunting. and your face noticeably changed,
Yeah.
and you said, I'm going to have to go inside. And then you did a piece to camera inside.
Yeah.
And actually, it was that honesty and that openness
Yeah.
that made us subscribe.
No, thank
because you are honest, you talk about it, you're open about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would have just tucked that away somewhere, do you know what I mean? Or not used that piece
Yeah,
to
you could have
camera.
lost that in the edit easily.
Yes.
And it didn't even enter my head to do that, because I've been so, I say dishonest is a strong word for it, but I've masked a lot of trauma over the years anyway, to portray this image of being a detective inspector, senior investigating officer, and the leader of a CID team. I don't get bothered by incidents when internally I did. And I still do, So, and I think it's really, really important for men to start being honest
Yes.
about their mental health and explaining and telling people when they are not feeling 100%, when they are not on their A game, and that's what I like about our channel. And you've spoken about it before in terms of. It is brutally honest sometimes, and I think I come across as unapologetically honest. If something bothers me, I'll tell them. I get really affected by trolls. So I like to call out trolls, and I know that you get trolls on your channel. So if you're thinking of trolling Richard, don't bother. He's a lovely person. Come and see me. Come to Escape to France Charente. I've got room for 1 or 2 more. Believe me, I'll deal with you.
Going back to living in France, what are the pros for you both living here, do you think?
I have my horses.
Yes. Yeah.
We've got better quality time, haven't we, together?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we both come from very busy working backgrounds, haven't we? Where we didn't spend enough time together. So now we do get to spend enough time together. Plus, we get time to look after ourselves as well. So, just little things like being able to exercise, having time to be able to do that. That's been fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The food is much better over here, I believe.
Yeah, the quality of the food. The French people are lovely. They are hard not to crack. They don't give away smiles freely. It's something that you've got to earn. So with your neighbours of ours, start off bonjour. It was all very formal, and then a few weeks ago we got a salut.
Oh.
So that is next level stuff. So.
And our French neighbours gave the children Easter eggs as
Easter
well,
eggs,
didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
They were left on the letterbox with a little note. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, just look at where you're living. What size house would you have had if you had carried on working after retiring from the police compared to this?
Yeah, it would just normally be a 3-bedroom end of terrace. So I would say that, so this house is 180 metres squared. We've added to it with the renovations and stuff. We've got just a tad over 2 acres of land. And in some parts of England, I think this would be plus 2 million.
Yes.
Suffolk, Kent, Surrey, easily.
Yeah. And you certainly wouldn't have had the horses in the bottom of your garden, would you?
No.
That's mad.
No.
Horses, chickens, cats.
And we only paid £137,000 for it.
137 for this.
Yeah.
What we've talked a little bit about the pros, and I mean a little bit because it's actually clear to see how happy you are anyway, especially watching the channel. But what are the cons then? What do people need to be wary of? We're constantly contacted by people saying, we love the pros and cons bit.
The only con that I can think of at the moment is obviously my girls aren't here, so family.
Of course.
Yeah.
So it is difficult with being able to see them as much as what you want to see them, but it's good time when we do actually get to see them.
It's quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that we considered when we moved over.
Yeah.
How much quality time do we spend with our children and our parents when we're in the UK? And how does that fare up with actually living in France? And we thought, well, when people come over, they are here. They've not got work. They can spend good quality time here.
Yeah.
But I can give you a con.
Trolls.
No. Driving, the standard of driving.
Yes.
And this is me being brutally honest again. So I've driven all my life. I'm a professionally trained driver. I've been trained in driving tanks for when I was in the military, and I've been trained to a pretty high level of driving response cars back for the police. And I don't like to generalise, but I'm going to. So we've been here just shy of 2 years, so 18 months. We'd heard the rumours, you know, so we probably had a bit of a bias in that way anyway. But I can say that, and they may not all be French, but the people driving on the roads will drive very, very close up your backside, too close. It's as if they want to save on fuel because they're slipstreaming. They drive very fast towards a junction and then more or less emergency stop. And you play chicken with them every day on the country roads because the roads are not designed for two cars, you know, so one car is going to have to give and go into the verge. The cars that I approach, so, and again I'm not saying that they're French, they don't give. They don't give at all. I'm surprised I've got a wing mirror left. That's all I'm going to say.
Listen, we're going to wrap this up, but I can't do my usual sign off because I'm 3 hours down the road and we're in the northernmost tip of the southwest of France, here in the Charente. So I have to ask you, are you happy with your Charente?
I'm happy with my Charente. Are you?
Yeah, and so that's your lot from the northernmost tip of the southwest of France, the Charente. Until the next time.
Goodbye.
Is that all right?
It's lovely, yeah.